The latest addition to John Conroe's Demon Accords universe focuses on Stacia Reynolds, one of the most interesting characters in the series. Rescued from a mauling by the hammer of God himself, transformed into one of the most skilled wares in the world, stepping from impoverishment to fame and fortune, and destined to become partner to the most powerful witch ever, it's not surprising she's a fan favourite. This book is a deep dive into her character that gives us a fresh perspective on some of the most significant events in the series, and a glimpse at parts of this universe we've not spent much time in before. Being as this is Stacia's story, the plan here was to make it Stacia's cover. What better way to do that than showing her off in all three forms: beautiful woman, majestic wolf, and terrifying monster. With the concept sketch approved, I moved on to Stacia's beast form to kick things off. To find a balance between Stacia being a giant imposing werewolf and a woman, this image of this fitness model standing in roughly the right pose made a good starting point. I was only interested in that outline and muscle tone, so I needed to paint out her clothes to make it work. As I'm only looking for shadows and highlights for this model, this was relatively simple to do with a mixture of the clone stamp tool and a soft paintbrush. With our werewolf now naked, it's time to grow some fur. I found the head of a white wolf in profile, and I mended it slightly to make it look a little less delicate. The plan then was to use the fur from that wolf's head to cover the body and fur that matched. The issue I ran into with this plan was that the fur on the wolf's head was too long for the rest of the body, and it didn't work right, so I tried again with the image of a different wolf. Here though, the natural fur had too much variance in colour and shape, and it wasn't ideal for use as a repeatable pattern. This fur texture I downloaded works much better. I tiled this pattern over the body, using the body as a layer mask to keep the fur from overflowing, and manipulating the fur shape to conform with the flow of the muscles where possible. I duplicated the base layer of the woman and moved it above the fur, then desaturated it and increased the contrast. Setting this layer to multiply meant that now only the shadow showed, leaving just the shape of the muscles on top of the fur. To finish the attempt to make it look really like fur, I found another image of a white wolf set against a dark background. This contrast allowed me to better select the fur to cut it from the background. I copied strips of this fur over to the image, manipulating it to fit the outline of the body, and then blending it in with the fur already there. This fluffy edge is what started to sell the concept of this body being covered in hair. To make the proportions more werewolf-like, I lengthened the arms a little. If this werewolf was standing alone, I might have spent more time doing the same for her hands as well, but for now just covering up the elbows and placing the head, and filling in the mane of hair on the back of the neck was enough to finish this beast form off. From here we can move on to her human form, which was considerably quicker. All we needed to do was find the right base image in the correct pose and cut her out. With two of the characters done, it's time to start arranging them on the artboard that I'll use for the final cover, using the concept sketch as a guide. Finally, I'll repeat the cutting out process with the white wolf that will appear in the image's foreground and place that in its final arrangement. With the characters looking good, it's time to start on the background and colour grading to bring them all together. I start with a background image that works for this cover, then use Adobe's generative fill to fill in the gaps where that image wasn't big enough. To make the characters match the scene, I start by duplicating their layers and setting them to multiply. It nicely darkens up the characters to help sell the illusion that the photos were taken at night, though you will likely need to dial this back by reducing the opacity of that layer to keep it from going too far. Then I remove some of the saturation from the image, and finally I will adjust the colour to match the background. In most cases this can be achieved by adding a colour overlay or tweaking a curves adjustment layer, whichever works best. Now that they're starting to look like part of the same image, the two characters in the back look strange, like they're floating. This is solved by adding a layer of rocks into the picture, again using generative fill to create the shapes I was looking for. Painting in mist using a custom brush helps push those rocks into the background and develop a sense of depth beyond the rocks so that they now look like they're standing on a rocky outcropping overlooking a valley beyond. The image is almost ready now, and it's on to the finishing touches. Adjusting the colour of the eyes on the werewolf is a subtle change that makes a big difference, as is the final pass of painting in the shadows and highlights. It's always at this part of the process that the image rarely comes together and starts to feel finished. The only thing standing in the way of being done was placing something in the frame to stand in contrast to the wolf in the foreground and help guide the eye towards the subject. The title gave me a little trouble. I wanted to place it behind the wolf so that it separated the wolf from the other characters. I also like the idea of the wolf being in front of the title, as I think this helps to settle the title into the image. The trouble lay in how to make the title work with the way the wolf was standing so that it was large enough to be the title without being so large as to cover up the characters in the background. Once that was decided, it was just a case of placing the rest of the text elements on the cover before the first draft was ready for approval. The feedback on the first draft was that we were close, but the beast form werewolf needed to be more scary. It needed to be more like the classic horror movie werewolf, something that could give you nightmares if you ever encountered it in real life. I swapped the head for something much more vicious looking, then adjusted the body's build to be more of a hulking, imposing presence. A spot of colour matching and rebuilding the few edges was all that was needed before I could swap out the character on the cover, and this draft was done. So, there we have it, Stacia in all her forms. I always enjoy working on the covers in this series, but I have to admit to really having fun with this one. It was a project that just seemed to go smoothly right from the start, with everything pretty much falling into place to create one of my favourite covers in the series. What do you think? For fans of the series, did I capture the essence of Stacia here? And for those who haven't read any of these stories before, does the cover make you want to give the series a try? If the answer is yes, then you definitely won't regret it. White Werewolf is another brilliant novel in this amazing series. It's available to buy now, and I've placed links for it in the description of this video. If you like what you've seen in this video, click the like button and subscribe for more videos about book covers, the creative process, novel writing, and more. If you've got your own supernatural masterpiece in need of a cover, then visit mythmakercreations.com to get in touch. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.